Amen's got his number. So I was like, bro, let me just come work out and shoot with you. Like, and K's the kind of guy who's gonna be like, yeah, man, here's what I do, right? And I'm not saying he's gonna all of a sudden turn into a Kevin Durant level shooter, but Bryan, if that dude's jumper becomes something that teams have to respect, now we got problems. The Suns, you're never going to get back equal value for a player like him. That's just not a thing, right? Because there's no equal value out there.
Especially at this age.
Yeah. Right? And with the cap, with the money he makes and how he impacts your cap, which we'll get to. Jalen Green, for a lot of basketball heads out there, he is the kind of player that casuals and quote-unquote real hoopers tend to like because he's exciting and he does all the things that makes the part of your brain fire, right? All of the things that make us all fall in love with basketball. We loved it from when we were small. Jalen Green ticks all of those boxes. It remains to be seen whether or not he can be a player who actually contributes to winning. Now, he is young. Was he 22? So we have time to see if he'll actually get there. Dillon Brooks is who he is, a very good defender who, in a good season, as he had this past year, will shoot 40% from three. The number 10 draft pick this year in a deep draft, that's very good. And I'm going to catch myself. I hate using words like deep draft. There is talent everywhere. It is on you as an organization and your talent identifiers and your development to find someone, identify them, and turn them into a player. So whatever pick you have in this draft, there's talent there. It's on you as an organization. Will you develop that person into their fullest potential? And then the 5 future second-round picks, it remains the same. Now, on the Houston Rockets side, I like it for them, Bryan, because, yes, they gave up Jalen and they gave up those draft assets, but they didn't give up Amen Thompson. They did not give up Jabari Smith Jr. They did not give up Tari Eason. They did not give up Cam Whitmore, right? They did not give up Reed Shepherd. None of those young guys, none of those young players who, if you're watching what Oklahoma City and Indiana just did in the NBA Finals, you realize if we are going to compete in this now new NBA, it ain't about 3 dudes. I better be going 9, 10 deep if I have a shot at playing with the pace and relentlessness that Indiana and OKC play at on both sides of the ball. And so I like this for Houston because they didn't give up any of these young guys. And by the time you have to pay Amen the money we think he's going to make, Durant likely won't be on your team anymore.
Or he'll be on the short-term version of whatever's left on his contract.
Correct.
Because we do anticipate that there will be an extension.
Some kind of extension. And, the problem with it
2 years, probably.
With the CBA, is that it's designed to pay players when they're no longer worth the money. Right? Durant should have been making this money year 5 and 6 in Oklahoma City, right? Not now, right? Because he was severely underpaid then, right? Like, this is how these contracts work. LeBron, KD, Steph, all these elite guys, they get paid less when they're at their best, and they get paid too much late in their career where they are now, right? And it messes up your cap and it eats up too much salary. But it is what it is. I think you're right. 2 years. That way, again, you're not stuck into some 4 or 5 year situation. And Houston seems smart that they're not going to do that. What they seem to be doing to me, Bryan, is saying, okay, we're not giving up any of our young guys, but we know in the playoffs last year, we had so much trouble generating half-court offense. We were ass at that. Literally hot garbage. But we have maybe the best scorer of his generation, or one of the greatest scorers in the history of basketball, right? Who we know can get us a bucket when we need one. That's very valuable come the playoffs. And they're betting on the fact that, okay, I don't think if they just stop right here, Bryan, and make no more moves, I don't think Houston's saying we're trying to win a title this year. I think they're saying this makes us a little bit better for the postseason. And if a bunch of things break in a certain way, we could find ourselves in a conference finals. And when you get to a conference finals, who knows what happens from there? Assuming they make no more deals. Now, I think they probably will, but that's what I'm assuming.
I think they probably will too. And we'll actually get to some contract details now because this matters. And this isn't one of those examples necessarily, although it could be in the case of Dillon Brooks. But oftentimes in the NBA, you trade contracts more than you trade actual players. Like the intention is to move money around. That's all the case. So with this now, you have Kevin Durant. It's funny to think that he signed this extension Nets.
Yeah, it's an extension. Yeah.
Finish it out 2 teams later. But he signed this extension with the Nets. This is the last year of it, coming up $54.7 million. He is eligible for an extension for a couple years. We'll see if that gets agreed upon anytime soon. I anticipate that it will. Ime Udoka, by the way, coached Kevin Durant in Brooklyn, as did Royal Ivy.
Yep.
I keep bringing Royal Ivy's name up.
It's one of KD's best friends.
We can talk about this more off, but yeah, Royal Ivy is also on that staff in Houston, and he's going to stay there, it appears. So Kevin Durant's on this contract. Let's pivot over to Jalen Green now, because he got his rookie extension that's about to kick in. 33 million, 36 million, player option for 36 million. It seemed like a lot at the time. It still kind of does, especially when you watch the playoffs, but he is very young. I don't think he and Devin Booker are going to work. It's like, I've just come out with it.
Probably not.
But I do think you can turn Jalen Green into something if that's the intention. If I'm Devin Booker, I'm looking around like, I kind of want to like go somewhere else. But Devin Booker doesn't seem to want to do that right now. So that doesn't appear to be on the table. But this is Jalen Green's contract, and we're working with the 33 million. Otherwise the money wouldn't work out. So this is why it's agreed in principle and not actually going to become official. That's a great point, because the league year doesn't start until July 1st.
Correct.
Free agency starts June 30th. And then you have over here Dylan Brooks' contract. This is an interesting one. 21 million descending. Under 20, just under 20, like barely under 20 next season, as in the 26-27 season. So short term. And also, like, I know he pisses people off,
but he's a good player. He's a good player.
He's a winning player too, in my opinion. He's a winning player. So looking at Houston's just overall cap sheet, this is what it is. Beginning when the new league year arrives, you still have the Fred VanVleet club option. We don't know what they're going to do there. I think they're going to accept it and then either try to move him or just keep him around. He makes.
I think they're going to keep him. My guess is they're going to try to restructure that deal a little bit, see if he'll come in and take a little bit less than going forward if they extend him. Because what's he making? 44 this year? Is that what it says?
44.9 roughly.
Fred is Fred's a very good player, but that is a lot for a non-all-star. Right? That is and a 31-year-old non-all-star at that. Who, and everybody who knows me knows this, how I feel about very small players. Right? Who is small? Like that's a lot of money, a lot. It just is, right? I mean, we see it, right? Like, how do you win in this league? If you need length, but if you're gonna be small, you better be Andrew fucking Nemhard or right? Like, you got to be one of these kinds of dudes, because
Fred VanVleet's one of those types of dudes.
Yes,
to be fair, So from a defensive standpoint, I know the shooting can be hot and cold, but with Kevin Durant, I mean, he's there to solve some of those problems. I think Fred VanVleet makes a lot of sense with Kevin Durant because he can be on the ball, he can be off the ball, he can defend the point of attack. I think he still makes a ton of sense. I wonder if I think they'll take the club option. I think there's a world where they could also, and I have to check this, I think you could decline it and then just sign him to a different contract, to sign him to a different deal.
Yeah, I think so. I have to check the CBA, but I think
look, bird rights.
I believe they do. They should have it now.
Let's see.
What's interesting here to me, Brian, is so much of what is going to happen for the Rockets during. It's not about, like, I hate using this term, the Kevin Durant era, but whatever, because he's the biggest name on that club. That's what people are going to do. And we'll talk about his career in a minute. Is going to be what the acceleration curve and the growth curve looks like for Amen Thompson. Because this past season, Brian, we saw it basically do a straight line up, right? And if he does something similar again this coming season, I mean, what did Jalen Green, who I talked about before, say about Amen? If that dude gets a consistent jump shot, it's a wrap, right? And
all-star every year.
Because it is. Because you cannot stay in front of him. He is a defensive demon, an absolute nightmare, an athletic, not a freak, a super freak athletically. And KD loves young guys. I can already assure you, Amen's got his number. So I was like, bro, let me just come work out and shoot with you. Like, and K's the kind of guy who's going to be like, yeah, man, here's what I do, right? And I'm not saying he's going to all of a sudden turn into a Kevin Durant level shooter. But, Brian, if that dude's jumper becomes something that teams have to respect, now we got problems. Now you got lots of problems.
And I think it might have to because, all right, let's say they don't make another big move. Your starting five would probably be, and let's say you're keeping Fred VanVleet, which I think they are, but we'll see. Fred VanVleet, Amen at the 2.
At the 2.
Jabari, KD, Şengün.
KD and Şengün.
That's probably how I would do it. And
that's a
just
very good starting five. Very good.
Like the spacing could be a little clunky if Fred VanVleet in particular has one of his like 2 for 10 nights from 3. So I think that's where Amen's 3-point shot is going to be important. Yes. I get the sense he's working on that right now.
I mean, I would hope you like. The thing about that, look, it's not just working on your game, right? Giannis works on his game all the time, works on shooting. He still sucks at it, right? There is something that my podcast partner David Thorpe calls you have to have shooting talent. Brian, you know this. When you were growing up in school, there were kids who would ball up pieces of paper or whatever and would hit that shit no matter. There were some people who were just really gifted at throwing things into other things. They just have talent for shooting. They're really good at it. So you have to have shooting talent. And then you have to have the work ethic to get good. I don't know yet if Amen has shooting talent. Let me pull up. What's his free throw percentage numbers like?
68%.
It's not great.
For 2 seasons. So there's a body of work there. The exact same 68.4. Not on terribly high volume, but 68.4. Let's actually widen this a little bit so you can see the
not great, but that doesn't mean that can improve. So my guess is, or my
I don't think he was a great shooter in the overtime.
No, he was not
either. So
if I'm the Houston Rockets, I'm employing the best shooting coach I can find. I mean, too bad Chip England's on payroll with the Thunder, so you ain't getting that guy. But I am getting the next best shooting coach I could find. And I'm saying, hey, man, let's work on the thing because you need to draw people out to you because once they have to come out, we know they can't stay in front of you. You're going to blow right by them, right? If they have to, and then that makes space, which now means Şengün can cook. Fred can cook. I mean, KD don't need a whole lot of space, but then he can cook, right? Like, so it gives you a lot of, and Jabari Smith Jr., who can shoot, he can cook, right? That's what you want.
I think with Amen Thompson, because he has everything else, like you just feel better about him and his development. I do hope the jump shot comes around though, because then, I mean, it to be honest, it might be unfair if the jump shot comes around because
life is unfair.
Yeah,
right? Like that's how it works. Like
he's so good already.
LeBron's unfair, Steph's unfair, KD's unfair. All these elite, everybody's unfair. It's just that's how it works.
This is sort of the key for me too. 14, 8-4 fantasy monster, by the way. He gets all defense already. Well deserved. He will be a defensive player of the year candidate, if not a straight up defensive player of the year before his career ends, assuming health. The playoffs, he was the best player offensively for them in that series.
Sure was.
He shot 49%. He was actually like creating, getting to spots from the mid-range area, getting into the lane against a good Golden State team. Not a team that had like a rim protector necessarily, but you know, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, like a team that you have to respect defensively ultimately. Amen Thompson shows some things there, despite not being able to shoot threes. And even in this series, he was 25%. I think he made one three in the series, but 1 or 2 threes in this series. Can actually pull this up right here.
Total, like 1 or 2 threes total in the entire series.
He was 1 for 4.
There you go.
That's it. But at the same time, it was still like there's something to be said for you not being able to shoot 3, everyone knowing it, and still being able to get yours. And he averaged 16 a game in that series. So
I love the point that you brought up that it is the weirdest version of his career because I believe you are right on that. Because for the magnitude of player that he is, what I think the fan collective consciousness is, you see 1, maybe 2 teams tops in his entire career, right? And you see sort of more of the, okay, where does he has a statue outside of this one, right? All those, because that's the kind of caliber of player he is. But he is now on what? This is now team number 5?
OKC, Golden State, Brooklyn,
Phoenix. And this is now team 5, right? But I will point out that I don't know how many other players can say this, but he has been an all-star and all-NBA at every stop he has been at. Right? Multiple stops. Now we're going to potentially a 5th where he will do the same. I don't know how many players in NBA history have been an all-star and all-NBA selection on more than 2 teams. We have a chance now for 5. Right? So my point is that it's not like he's going these places and he's shitty at these places. He's still very good at these places. And I think, he, as I've said numerous times before, he has a wandering spirit, right? He is a searcher. What he is searching for, I have no fucking idea.
And it might change because I think for human beings, what we search for often changes. I would say like my goals year to year are not always the same. I probably have, I definitely have things that carry over to some extent because like they're like professionally based, and it's like your professional goals are evolving also all the time, and whatever it is, I think also, Jarod, there's something to be said for like, I think you can hold against him that yes, he's the reason he's been on 5 different teams ultimately, or at least for most of them. If you wanted to, like, you can make that argument. I would also say to some degree, at least, it's a testament to how malleable he is as a player and how he can complement every single basketball player possible. Like, there are certain dudes like Shaq can't play with. Stylistically, I'm talking about, not even personality-wise. Just stylistically, you can't pair Shaq with whatever. Like, there's not a single, I can't even think of an NBA player KD wouldn't make sense with. Like, if you put him out there with Sean Bradley, there's a world where that works. He can figure it out. He can play with Spud Webb. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, he can play with anybody because of how tall he is, how he can score, how he can defend. He can play also, like, legitimately play all 5 positions, at least from an offensive standpoint. There was a time he can guard 3+ positions at a really good level. You would want him not to have to do that now.
Right. Of course not. Too old now.
And in Houston, he won't have to, which is great. Like, that's
what I love about this Houston deal is because he's surrounded by good defensive players, like which I like, right?
Really good.
Right. I really like that
it's
for him.
Junior OKC in some ways.
In many ways. So I like that. Look, again, I think KD will be that player that once he retires, 10 to 15 years post, everyone will retrospect and be like, damn, we didn't realize that dude was fucking legit.
Maybe 5. I don't think it'll take that long in the social media
and it's
era.
because of the things that he does that don't fit the archetype that we, and when I say we, not me, but we, the collective, we as fans, expect. And right, he's doing something completely different. And I think for him, it's always part of the searching is always for this basketball nirvana. And I don't know what that is for him in his head, but there is some version of basketball nirvana he's constantly searching for. And there is a piece that I would love the deep retrospective on. He's not tethered and moored to family and right, like a partner, children, whatever. Right. Again, I'm not saying you need those things to be fulfilled, like because I don't have kids and I'm perfectly fine. Right. So like it's not about that, but he doesn't have that thing that moors him into, oh, I have to think about these other factors as well. It's just, man, where am I going to go hoop, right? Everybody jokes about when he's in the club, he's doing fake shots. Like, I always joke that he gets up before he even fucking brushes his teeth. He's probably fucking fake pumping his socks into the fucking hamper and shit. Like, that's all this dude does is fucking hoop. Literally, it's all he cares about 24/7 is basketball.
Yeah. We could put a ball on the KD thing there. But I do think, by the way, this further legitimizes Houston for me. I think they can get to like a conference finals appearance, I think should be the goal at the very least.
They need some things to break right. They need injury luck for sure, which means they need KD not to be injured, and they need other teams to potentially get injured too, right? Like
I think they have enough, and they showed this last year. I think they have enough to carry them through the regular season, even if Kevin Durant plays like 42 games. I don't know what seed they will be, but I think they could avoid the play-in. I guess is the bar.
Sneaky stat. Last 2 seasons, Kevin Durant played 75 and 62 games. So he's been surprisingly durable the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and we'll see if that holds up. Because look, 37, year 19. Like, I don't think he'll play 78 games this year.
No.
But the key is he needs to be healthy for the playoffs.
But yeah.
And which is becoming increasingly more difficult. I'm going to post a clip today of a conversation I had on here yesterday regards to, again, injuries in the NBA.